everyone, and welcome to Faith on the Ground, where we are shining a light on everything that God's doing in Chilton County and surrounding areas. And today I have the opportunity to sit down with one of the pastors in Chilton County. His name is Hank Walker. He is the pastor at Peach City Fellowship. And man, I'm so glad to have you on the show this morning. I've been eager to get you on here and talk and just talk about ministry. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, like you said, I'm Hank Walker. I've been in Clanton, except for time in military, since 1982.
Come on.
You know, my wife is an educator and administrator here. She's the director out at Career Tech. I teach special ed at Chilton County High School, and so we've just been part of the community. I was in business for a number of years, and so I wasn't in town. And so over the last 8 or 9, 10 years, I've had a chance to sort of reacquaint and reconnect to the community. But you know, wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, come on. And your kids grew up here too. Went to school here.
Yeah, so we were married 11 years before we had our first one. And shout out to Price. Price Walker is. He has his birthday today, and he and his wife.
way.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and of course, my wife was reminding me this morning that I needed to send him a happy birthday. So you know, she knows how forgetful I can be. But yeah, Price is married to Michaela, and Michaela had her birthday 2 days before. So he married an older woman.
Damn, come on.
You know? But anyway, and then our daughter Karis lives in Prattville. She just got married in April to a great young man, and they're both nurses. And so she works in cardiac ICU at South, and he works in I think they call it the PACU.
Okay.
It's when they're recovering from surgery and that sort of thing. He kind of helps them get it back up and out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been blessed with a great family, Christian kids. Great community, you know, guys, just good.
Yeah, come on, man. No, I love it, and I've been excited about this talk because I've known y'all since I was a little kid.
Right.
I know Ms. Walker. She was my 5th grade teacher. McClanton Intermediate. Hey, hands down, one of my favorite teachers I ever had, like to this day.
It's funny. She's the only reason that I got A's in college algebra.
There you go.
Because I had no hope otherwise. But she's quite the good teacher.
Man, come on. And I'm telling you, I was probably a terrible student, but she was my favorite teacher. And then I'll never forget this. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember me and my dad. This is when I was younger, and chubby Ian, chubby now, but we were sitting there and my dad was like, all right, we're gonna go work out at Cornerstone. And I'll never forget, we're sitting there working out, he's showing me what to do, all this stuff, and I remember you were in there lifting, no, I think you were leg pressing like the craziest amount of weight on this earth. And my dad was like, Ian, you got to come over here and meet this guy. And so I don't know if you remember that.
That's funny.
But I will never forget that because I was like, this is the strongest man I've ever met. Like, it was crazy.
That's hilarious.
So you might never not remember that. But that was one of my favorite stories of meeting you for the first time. And so,
unfortunately, I'm at that age now where it's, you know, you go in the gym and you say, well, I used to be able to do this or that. And people look at you like, yeah, sure.
No way, come on, man. Yeah. But no, just if anyone's asked, Duke can lift some weight. It was crazy. But coming off all this, man, just looking at ministry right now, how did you just first feel called into the ministry?
So I came into Christianity out of atheism.
Really?
I was a weird mix in high school of jock and egghead. And so I read all kinds of things that you wouldn't expect young people to read. And I came from a broken home. My dad was an alcoholic, married, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. We moved to Clanton really as a result of sin in his life. And he ended up marrying a woman here. We moved here. And, you know, God really saved my life through that process. Met some guys that their family was active at First Baptist here. Got involved in youth. You'll remember Scott Springer.
Yeah.
Scott was my RA director, and
that's crazy. Oh my goodness.
So he, you know, God just in His kind providence put me in a position to be around real Christians.
Yeah.
Right. And because I just thought they were all hypocrites and that sort of thing. And so, but literally when I came to Christ, I went for one day, being that guy who stuck his chest out and said, I don't believe in God, that's a bunch of superstition and foolishness, to God opening my eyes, kind of like Lydia in Acts. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh.
Wait a minute.
This thing is real. And so, but, one of the challenges with youth ministry, no matter how good youth ministry is that youth pastors don't have a lot of opportunity to do individual discipleship.
Yeah.
And so I was not discipled. I was coming into my senior year in high school. Although I was interested, curious, read a lot, that sort of thing, I was a terrible student, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had some football scholarship offers, mainly because I was all-state in track. Some guys saw me, that was before the YouTube era. And so I got a lot of offers. That I probably didn't deserve as a football player because I wasn't that great of a football player, I don't think. But I went for one visit, my old Galaxy 500, drove to Athens, Georgia, and I came back, and I was in love at that time, and I was thinking, I can't even afford the gas to drive back and forth here.
Right.
So I went in the military. I had an older brother who was in the military, and when I was in the military, in our office, so I had two MOSs, military occupation specialties. One was I was a combat medic, so when we were in the field, I did that, and then I was a behavioral science specialist. So I had clinic work during those times I wasn't in the field. And we had a DOD civilian, Department of Defense civilian named Pat Wilson, who was starting a church there. It's the North Country of New York, so 30 miles from Canada.
Oh, wow.
Very, very much a Catholic-dominated area. The Southern Baptist churches in that area were very much liberal at that point, and so he came out of the Conservative Baptist denomination, and so my roommate and I just basically ended up living at his house. Anytime we weren't on duty, we'd go to his house, and his wife would feed us, and he discipled us, and so I began to have a hunger for the Word and growing in the Word, and God really started a transformation there. But I thought I was going to be a lifer in the military. I made rank really fast. I made E5 in just under 2 years, sergeant. And in the military back then, you had to get your card punched. You had to have certain points and time in service, time in grade, and that sort of deal. And one way I could circumvent that system and continue to get promoted was going to Special Forces.
Yeah.
So I went through the training, got hurt, had to come back to my unit. I recycled, got hurt again, and that was kind of the end of it. I had to take a military retirement for disability because of my knees. And so at that point, I'm like, well, I'm all dressed up, no place to go. I don't have a degree. I don't, what am I going to do? So I came back to Alabama, ended up going to Southeastern Bible College in Birmingham because of some friends I knew. What's Peach City Fellowship now was Friendship Baptist Church then, and I became the youth pastor there in the early 90s.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And, God bless what we were doing there. And in a small community like this, word kind of gets around. And the next thing I know, I got a call from West End. And so I was the Kenny before Kenny.
Oh, really?
And he's much better at it and definitely much more called to youth ministry. I've been thrilled to see someone stick with youth ministry as many years as he has and to see what God's done through that work. So, but it's funny. My boss now is Michelle Coppage. Michelle was a 9th grader in my youth group when I was at West End.
That is awesome.
So I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Old. Yeah.
That's too good, man. Golly.
So anyway, it was just kind of an evolution, and so I finished college and moved into pastoral ministry, but I really had a heart to be co-vocational. Some people use the term bivocational. Co-vocational technically is somebody who decides deliberately to have a foot in both worlds. So,
right.
So I was in business for a number of years, then, 9 years ago now, an opportunity opened up at Friendship. I went there, and it wasn't wasn't easy rowing. You know, when I came to Friendship, I was the 33rd pastor in 101 years.
Oh man.
So every 3 years, things were churning through, and so, but I was convinced that's where God wanted me.
Yeah.
And there were some men that I had an opportunity to begin to disciple there, and they sort of provided the support I needed to be able to survive that move.
Yeah.
And you know, for the last, well, since COVID, we've been growing at about 20 to 25% a year in membership.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's awesome. It's scary because
Yeah.
it's like, where are we going to put these people?
Right,
You know?
right.
And we have people, but we don't have money. So you know, when you start trying to accommodate lots of folks, you start looking at buildings or lack thereof,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But you know, at every step, God's provided for everything we've needed. So I have no doubt that He'll continue to do that.
Man, come on. It's been so cool though, because like we were talking about this earlier, like how what it's grown into now, and now there's a school at the church now too, and just to see how God's been able to bless that as well has been such a really cool thing just to watch over the years or the year that it's been going. So
yeah, you know, it's funny. To some degree, I've been a spectator to it. You know, I'm on the school board, and I'm in the meetings and that sort of thing. But you know, I just have to give props. Charlotte Johnson, like I told you, is a force of nature. You know, she has been an amazing head of school and has worked very hard. And you know, Clanton went from really having no Christian school now to having two really good Christian schools. So Liberty appears to be doing a great job. I see them bringing on great teachers, and you know, I think so last year when the school started, we started with 68 students. We ended the year with, I think, 74.
wow, yeah.
And then we already have, I believe, as of Sunday, we have 85 or 87 that are already registered, paid, and ready to go this semester. And we've got quite a bit more who are in the hopper, who's at least their parents are showing interest in that kind of thing. So, we're filling the space up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
and
man.
having to figure out what we're going to do. But guys, it's been an amazing blessing just to see what's happened there.
Absolutely, man. And so coming off all this, where you came into ministry and where you are now, what's a moment that just confirmed that you were just right where God wanted you to be? Like, this is what God's called me to do.
You know, providence works in a funny way. You know, it's rare that God gives us that single epiphany, right? You know, sometimes what happens is more like Moses and a long period of dry wilderness, but as God is building you for ministry, crushing the pride out of you.
Yeah.
Because I have to say there have been times in my past where I struggled with that, and God got a hold of me really good in that regard.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just a long walk of providence, right? And each day, you know, God's mercies are new every day, and each day in the walk, He does more and more to confirm that what He's doing. You know, I have a men's Bible study on Monday night, and we got about 20 men that come together, and we break bread and laugh at each other and study the Word. But to be in a small community like Clanton, where we have 20 men, not all of whom are from our church, but who are faithfully there every week, growing, and you know, for younger men, there's always that looking forward to what's going to happen. I'm at a season of life where I'm nearing my 60s, and for me, it's looking back at God's faithfulness and being very comfortable in the day-to-day. Right. So I'm not looking for any big thing. I'm grateful. You know, our church has a little bit different polity than most modern Baptist churches. We have what's called a plurality of elders. And so I'm one of 7 pastors in a church that's just over 100 people.
Yeah.
And so I'm often identified as the pastor because, you know, I'm the one who does most of the teaching and preaching. But by having this plurality, I'm not left to have to do everything.
Right.
You know, I've got faithful, biblically qualified men who are able to teach, as Scripture tells us in the pastoral epistles, who carry their weight and shepherd our people well. And so, I get to do this. I don't have the headaches that I hear a lot of other pastors have.
Yeah.
Because if I were a solo pastor, quite honestly, it'd be a difficult thing for me to work full time in public education and also to be a pastor. So I'm just very grateful for where I am.
Yeah, man, come on. No, and that's so cool how that's kind of broken down to where it's not just all on you, like what it sounds like. And so, no, that's so cool. And so looking at your ministry, what would you say, or the ministry at your church, what would you say is just the heartbeat behind that?
So because out of my personal experience of having not been discipled, even with the best of intentions and great godly people at First Baptist, being in a situation where I saw the long-term effect of slowing ministry down and doing individual discipleship. So I'd say that the discipleship's where the heart is. That's really the thing behind the scenes that has built our church. You know, people wonder, you know, how do you keep growing at 20 and 30% a year? We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, folks show up, they seem to be hungry for the word, they get plugged in, you know, we have this weird situation where at any given point, our attendance exceeds our membership by anywhere from 10 to 30%.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's you know, God's just, He keeps bringing people, but the connection is the word.
Right. And I think what's so interesting now, and you see this, and I love how you're talking about that with your church, because I think churches like all around are going through this to where people are just hungry.
Yeah.
And they want the truth.
That's right.
And so more people are attending church because everybody's been hopefully practicing what they preach of like what the truth is. And so people are want to know. And I think people are coming to church, and I think a lot of churches are having to wake up and that discipleship you're talking about, like even like that's what our church is going through of just like, hey, okay, we have these people, but how are we intentionally discipling these people?
Right.
And I think it's been so cool to see how churches like yourselves are taking that time to not just be like, all right, we got the people, cool.
Yeah.
And here's some of this, but no, like we're actually, hey, here's what discipleship looks like. And I love how you said like with your men's group, like you're sitting there, you're breaking bread, you're cutting up, or breaking bread, and you're cutting up, and you're taking that time to just not only just fellowship, but also build that relationship with one another to discipleship each other.
Yeah, I mean, men need a safe place where they know confidentiality is established.
Yeah.
Where they can learn to love one another. And, you know, discipleship is about imitation. And so, you know, when the scripture says that you're to shepherd the flock well that's among you, speaking to elders, you know, that's a life-on-life pursuit. That can't be handled from a pulpit. That can't be handled from a classroom. You know, that's a high accountability sort of thing. And you know, what I find is that men gravitate to that, you know. And so it's been amazing. You know, we have a degree of male leadership in our church, not because I'm smart, but just because I think it's the pattern the word set.
Yeah.
That's larger than churches that are sometimes 4 or 5 times our size. So I'm grateful to the Lord that He's building a foundation there for future leadership. Yeah. You know, who knows how long my health or whatever will be sustained to where I can carry the kind of pace that I do. But if I were taken out tomorrow, everything continues.
Right.
You know, we're not in a position, gratefully, where we have to look for pulpit supply, right?
Right.
You don't have to call some preacher from the outside because we've raised it up inside.
Yeah.
And now what's really exciting when we think about young people is we have young people who are coming up who are beginning to display both the character and the giftedness for ministry. Yeah. So that, you know, we can start kind of moving them that direction. So, you know, and that's a big prayer of ours is that we're able to grow ministry organically within the church and then export it.
Man, that's so good. I love it. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back here after this looking at Ministry in Motion. All right, we are back with Faith on the Ground, and this is our second segment, just looking at just ministry in motion, what's going on. But what is something in your ministry right now that you're just really excited about?
I would say there are probably a couple of things. One is the growth of men in our ministry.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a little bit earlier about how God has just been raising up men and multiplying leadership within the church and providing a bench, if you will, for future ministry. And so, you know, with seven elders in place, we also have deacons who are the servants of the church. We have a more than adequate base to serve our current congregation.
Yeah.
But of individuals who are showing up, more and more men are stepping up, right?
Right.
And, you know, from my experience, and this is, you know, not a knock against women being active in ministry, but the healthiest churches I've known have been churches where men take up their God-given responsibility to be priests in their home and leaders in their churches. You know, good men, good fathers, good husbands. And so if there's anything that I'm excited about is that God is just giving us that.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other is PCD Academy, the school. I hope that at some point Miss Charlotte is able to publish something that just shows all the things that have happened. last year when the school started, we're a small church.
Right,
Like I said, a little over 100 in attendance. We knew we didn't have the money to do it right, but it just seemed in all of our hearts that it was the thing to do. And so we just kind of stepped forward during the course of the year, unsolicited. And literally at the day of need, we ended up receiving almost $110,000 in contributions toward the school. I mean, literally out of the blue. We had one wing of the church that had such a long-standing problems that were going to cost a good bit to fix. And when we got in there, we had enough to pay the original quote. They found problems with the flooring and that sort of thing. And so the contractor called Miss Charlotte and said, hey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's going to be another $5,500, da-da-da. She hangs up. She's walking across a parking lot. She gets a phone call from a family, just an interested family. Didn't even have children in the school. Who said, hey, we've heard about what you're doing. We love the idea of it. We had a little bit of money sitting on the sideline. I don't know how much it'll help, but we're giving you a check for $5,500.
That's so cool. Oh, man.
And you had mentioned y'all have been to some of the games and like Matilda the play and stuff like that. Well, we have adequate space in our gym to host sort of some of those things, but we don't have air conditioning in there.
That's very true.
and so, one of our projects that we were about to undertake is at least putting in exhaust fans and a roll-up door on one end and get the air circulating. We got word yesterday, I believe it was, that an interested donor who had come to some of those events decided that we needed air conditioning. We got quotes, $71,000 to put AC in that space. And he just feels like God's moving him to write the check.
Oh, man.
So,
that's so good.
And so that's what I mean. When God's in something, it just seems like he provides.
Yeah, goodness.
So we've just kind of been on the sidelines sitting and saying, hey, what's he going to do next?
Right. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Man, I know they'll love that. Oh my goodness, that's so cool to see him moving that way, man. And I know you're so excited about everything that's coming for them, and it's so cool to hear all the things that are going well in your men's ministry too. And I think I feel the same way about just how within the men's ministry and in a church as a whole, man, the things that can happen within not just your church, but the families of your church when men just step up in that way. And so it's been so cool to see. But coming from that, I want to say you just shared the God moment. But do you have another God moment that you can think of? It's fine if it's that one, but man, just that you've seen through your ministry.
Again, it kind of comes back to these long providences.
Right.
When I was a young man, I was that young man in a hurry.
Yeah.
I had to do everything great, everything big. And ultimately it comes back to pride. I was a trailer park kid with an alcoholic dad and shabby clothes and I came into adulthood with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And then I spent about 20 years building a kingdom that God ultimately showed me was in competition.
Yeah.
And he crushed it, and I managed not only to lose a few $1 million of my own money, but a few $1 million of investor money. And, so God decided I needed the pit.
Yeah. Man.
And so the recovery from that is nothing less than a Job kind of experience.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. Because we can get really interested in pursuing the things of the world, and justifying it with Christianese. It's a Christian business, Christian ethics, Christian this and Christian that, and we begin to believe our own hype. When the truth of the matter is, a lot of times we find ourselves pursuing our own goals and building our own kingdoms.
Yeah.
And now I don't have anything to build, Yeah. And when I say I'm just along for the ride, I literally mean I'm just along for the ride. God keeps blessing what we're doing. And,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm grateful to try to be the best steward I can.
Man, come on. No, that's so good. I love it. I love it. And so coming off of that, just some more personal, real questions. I love these. But what's a spiritual lesson that God's been teaching you here recently?
I don't know that there's just one thing. I think the thing that God is giving me in this season is just a great deal of comfort in my own skin.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
that there are a lot of folks who spend a lot of time, create a lot more heat than light, trying to get comfortable in their skin. And I'm just very comfortable in my skin right now.
Come on.
You know, so that's it. I don't know if that's an epiphany. I don't know if that's, but it's a blessing, whatever it is.
Yeah. Man, no, I love it. That's awesome. Next one is what is something what keeps you encouraged on the difficult days or on the hard days?
You know, my mindset is really a Romans 8:28 kind of mindset. And again, part of it comes from Scripture and what the Holy Spirit has taught me, and a lot of it comes from experience. But I genuinely believe there's no such thing as a bad day for a Christian.
Okay, yeah, come on.
You know, I mean, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're struggling with, the things in this world, it's because you put your hope in those things. And I think the great blessing is that God has taken away any hope I have in this world. You know, I mean, I love my family, I love my kids.
He's a hope.
I'm ready for heaven.
Yeah.
You know, if Lord calls me home tomorrow, man, I'm tickled. I don't want to leave a grieving family, but we live for eternal life, not for this peasant existence here.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's a such thing as a hard time. Now I feel anxiety like every other human being when I feel responsible to get things done. I'm up against timelines, stuff like that. Having in essence 2 full-time jobs. It's easier with an empty nest or an emptying nest. But there are times when I feel the pressure of not living up to expectations. Yeah. Right. And so, but again, I think with maturity, you get back to the point where you just say, I can do what I can do. I can do it as unto the Lord, the best I can do. And then you just move on. Yeah. Man. And so, maybe that helps.
No, I think that's good. And I think you mentioned that just then, but just that spiritual maturity, I think, in just knowing it's just like, hey, I've done the best that I can do, the best of my ability, not for anyone else, but for him. Right. And I think that's one of those things to where it's so good just to have that mindset in that. I think that's so good. And so now I got some fun questions. I always love these. What is a hobby that you were just really into?
When you work 2 full-time jobs, and I'm finishing up, I'm actually preparing for World Offenses and a doctorate right now.
Oh man, come on!
At the end of this month, and so there's not much time for hobbies.
Oh man!
Now if I can get away for a few days, our family's very competitive.
No.
So in fact, I got reports back from Price. Whenever we go to the beach, we try to have the big whole family beach thing, and so it's putt, it's anything we can compete at, and trash talk over. So we love those things. None of us are particularly good at any of it, but we like to tell each other we are. No, I don't really have any hobbies.
Is Price does he hunt a lot?
Price, if
I feel like I've seen that.
If Price could do it, if he had the opportunity to do it, he should be one of those sportsman outdoor dudes. Yeah. I can remember at his earliest days, Zach Martin and Nathan. At their old house, they had a pond in front, and he caught a catfish literally that big out of the. But he kills these big deer, these 12-pound bass, shoots squirrels with his bow and arrow. I mean,
Right.
just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But things that would be interesting, and I think he's got enough humor he could actually carry it off.
Right. Did he get that from you? Is that where
So, confession.
Okay.
He had the Red Ryder BB gun, right?
Right.
And so I got him hooked on going around and killing birds. these birds that were making nests and making messes and stuff like that. So I'd get home and kind of right before the birds would start going to roost, and he and I would go hunting.
Right.
And so I think I created a monster. But I haven't hunted in years. And, now he and I like to fish, and so every now and then we'll go fishing. But he's a lot better at that too.
Oh, that's awesome. And so going off that one, another question is this: if you could sit down with any biblical figure besides Jesus, who would it be and why?
Probably Paul.
Yeah.
Peter says of Paul that he's sometimes hard to understand. Mm-hmm. And there are certain passages where I'd love to just sit down and talk shop. And when you're doing exegesis, when you're studying the text at some level of depth, you think you got it. but there's some times when I'd love to just sit down and say, hey, Brother Paul, what you mean by this?
Right. That's good.
So I guess that would be him.
Yeah, come on. No, I think that's our number one person every time is Paul, and I agree with you, man. There's some times I'm just kind of like, what do you mean on this, man? Let's sit down and truly talk about this. That's so good. And the last one for this segment, what is just, I don't know if I'm a big worship guy. I love listening to worship, and it could be hymns, whatever it could be. But what is just a good, just worship song maybe that you really like?
My goodness, there are probably two.
Okay.
He Will Hold Me Fast.
Okay.
Which I don't remember if the Gettys are the first ones who did that, but everybody, a whole bunch of folks have done it.
Right.
But
the Gettys do something, everybody starts remaking it.
Exactly. So He Will Hold Me Fast. I love singing it congregationally. Mm-hmm. My favorite worship music is congregational music.
Yeah.
I don't like performance stuff.
Yeah.
And then just stylistically and that sort of thing, I love Shane and Shane.
Oh, yeah.
And so Though You Slay Me is probably my favorite song of theirs.
That's a great one.
And again, it's just perspective.
Yeah.
I like the one where they have John Piper's commentary.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that one. That one was cool.
But I don't listen to a lot of music.
That's okay. No.
Apart from when I'm at church or on my way to or from.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's great. And Shane and Shane, they've been good for so long.
Yeah.
Anything they write has just been top notch. And so going into our last segment, what is something that you were just currently praying for in your ministry?
Really praying for young men in our church. And by young men, I mean even teenagers. That they catch the aroma of what we're doing. That they really understand what it is to be living sacrifices.
Yeah.
That these young men don't follow the path of having to make their own mistakes. That they would be willing disciples, learners of Christ, and that he would be preparing them for the next stage of ministry. My plan is to die at my church. That as morbid as that may sound.
Yeah, right.
But
I understand. Yeah.
I don't think I'd fit anywhere else. I can't imagine being anywhere else, and it really is genuinely family. Mm-hmm. And so now as I see these young men and even boys. And even our children, if there's anything that I could say is amazing, is our children's ministry.
Yeah.
And just the things that these kids are getting, the questions they ask.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, when you have 7, 8-year-old kids running up to you after the service asking you about something from the sermon.
Oh yeah.
It's
Come
like,
on.
they're tracking.
Right.
So it's just been amazing.
Yeah, man. Come on. That's so good. And so what is something that you would tell yourself first starting out?
Slow down. And it isn't about you.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things. Slow down. Prepare yourself for ministry before you think you are good enough to do it.
That's good. Yeah.
And then don't take yourself so seriously. Be serious about the work, but get yourself out of the center of that.
Mm-hmm.
We have one God who will not countenance competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share my glory with none.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have warned myself about the danger of seeking vainglory.
Yeah, that's so good. And I know you've mentioned this a couple times, but I think it's easy to get caught up in it. And not even doing it intentionally. Mm-hmm. I think because you get so caught up into just where you're like, I've mentioned this a couple times to where one of my, I found this out in college the hard way, but just my idols that I've dealt with. Cause at first I was like, I don't have any idols. I'm good. But it was relationships. Mm-hmm. And man, it was one of those. I love being around people, still do. I want to talk with them. I like that. It's a little bit of people pleaser in there too, on that one. And so it's one of those things to where that was what I was seeking in that. And I think a lot of times to where I've had, even doing ministry, I have had to take that step back and just be like, wait a minute. Well, and it's just crazy though. It's not like something intentional, but I know there's some folks that it is intentional, but I think it's one of those we get caught up sometimes.
In the heart of man, right? The fallen nature of man is an insatiable desire to be admired,
mm-hmm.
and we often read admiration as love.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you look at people around you, and they seem to be admired and loved, you look at them and in the flesh, you say, well, if they can do that, I can do that. Mm. And so you begin to set up these competitions, maybe not even consciously so,
right?
Where you're trying to be somebody,
right,
and the word that Paul, we mentioned Paul earlier, most commonly describes himself with in Scripture is the word doulos, mm-hmm. slave.
Mm-hmm.
A slave doesn't own anything. A slave doesn't have an agenda. A slave lives for the purposes of his master.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as somebody can come to grips with that rationally and use it to combat those impulses and emotions, those fleshly desires to be somebody, mm-hmm. to be admired, to be loved, life gets a whole lot easier.
Yeah, it does. I'm telling you, it does. That's so good. No, man. No, thanks for sharing that. That's just something I thought was, it was so good. And then last question, how can the community itself just be praying for you personally and for your ministry?
I heard another pastor say this not too long ago who's since gone to be with the Lord. But I want to finish well. Mm. I don't know what that horizon looks like. I don't know what the Lord has in store. But I know I'm a sinner. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm not immune to human impulses and things that can very quickly wreck a ministry, whether it's pride, whether it's a big mouth when you should be quiet, whether it's lust or any of whatever it is mm-hmm. that could bring disrepute to the church. Mm-hmm. I would pray that God just helps me end well.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. And I think that's something that that a lot of folks, a lot of ministers mm-hmm. is that's it, just to finish well. And so, mm-hmm. man, definitely praying for that. And thank you so much for coming on the show this morning. This has been great.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been so good. And so thank you guys for tuning in this morning. And real quick, before we tune out or go off air, I wanted to make just a little plug for a back to school bash that's going on July 18th. 2 to 8 p.m. It's going to be downtown Corner Park. Y'all should have the thing on the screen. Downtown Corner Park. It's going to be a bunch of just ministry over industry summer tour that's going on. Just wanted to let you guys know about that. It's going to be hosted by Living Free and Surrendered Ministries. There's going to be giving out backpacks, shoes, school supplies. All sorts of stuff, offering about all sorts of stuff like that. So please, if you get a chance, we'd love for any students to come and check that out before school starts back. So July 18th, that's actually this week. So be sure to check that out. We'd love to have you there. It's going to be a great time. But other than that, once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will be back here next week, Tuesday, 10:30, and we can't wait to have you guys with us. So see you guys next